The geopolitical landscapes in mid-2025 remains fraught with tensions and uncertainty, particularly concerning the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel, the United States' involvement, and the broader implications for international relations. The aftermath of the American military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities following an Israeli offensive has sparked intense debate within U.S. intelligence and political circles regarding the extent of damage inflicted on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. A leaked Defense Intelligence Agency (DIA) report has cast doubt on the official narrative, prompting internal investigations and public scrutiny over its validity. While the administration seeks to identify the source of the leak, independent experts have largely concurred with the DIA's findings, suggesting that Iran may be capable of repairing the damaged sites. Adding complexity to the situation is a controversial article by investigative journalist Simon Harris, which posits that the U.S. objective was not destruction, but entombment of the facility at Fordo. According to Harris, the strategy was inspired by 19th century archaeological methods aimed at stealing underground structures rather than destroying them. However, skepticism abounds, with many analysts viewing this as an attempt to counterbalance the damaging revelations from the DIA report. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Ayatollah of Iran has asserted that Iran emerged victorious in its confrontation with Israel and the U.S., emphasizing that the American intervention was driven by desperation to protect its ally. This sentiment aligns with the broader Iranian belief that their resilience against Israeli missile strikes and U.S. airstrikes has bolstered their strategic position. In response to perceived Western aggression, Iran has taken decisive legislative action, passing a law to suspend all cooperations with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, citing its complicity in enabling attacks on peaceful nuclear facilities. Russia has echoed Iran's criticism of the IAEA, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov condemning the agency's conduct as biased and detrimental to global non-proliferation efforts. With Iran now legally barred from engaging with the IAEA until stringent security guarantees are met, the prospect of any future nuclear deal involving international verification appeared dim. The absence of IAEA oversight raises serious concerns about the transparency of Iran's nuclear enrichment program and complicates the diplomatic pathway toward resolution. In parallel developments, defense ministers from key global powers, including China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and Belarus, are convening in Xining, China, under the auspices of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO). The meeting, while reportedly pre-scheduled, will undoubtedly center on Iran's recent vulnerabilities and potential avenues for strengthening its defense capabilities. Both China and Russia are expected to offer advanced air defense systems, cyber protection, and intelligence support to Iran, albeit with conditions. These include demands for restraint on Iran's part regarding nuclear weapon development and renewed engagement in diplomatic negotiations. Despite the declared ceasefire by Israel, tensions remain high, with both sides preparing for the possibility of renewed hostilities. There are credible reports that Israel may exploit the lull to carry out targeted assassinations of Iranian leadership, including Supreme Leader Ham, who has remained out of public view since the attacks. The U.S. too faced mounting pressure to resume operations if intelligence indicates that Iran is reactivating its nuclear facilities or enriching uranium without oversight. The implications extend beyond the Middle East, influencing other global conflicts, notably the ongoing war in Ukraine. At the most recent NATO summit in The Hague, President Donald Trump reiterated his ambivalent stance on Article 5 commitments while praising European allies for committing to spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035, a target widely regarded as unrealistic. Ukrainian President Zelensky left the summit empty-handed, receiving no new military aid or promises of NATO accession. Instead, the summit produced a watered-down communique criticizing Russia but offering no concrete plan for ending the war. French President Emmanuel Macron urged Trump to apply the same decisiveness used in resolving the Iran crisis to the Ukraine conflicts, hinting at potential U.S. military intervention against Russia. This suggestion has been met with alarm, especially after Russian Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev explicitly stated that Ukraine's accession to the EU constitutes an existential threat to Russia. Foreign Minister Lavrov reinforced this stance, signaling a hardened Russian position against further Western encroachment. On the battlefield, Ukraine's much-hyped counteroffensive in the Sumy region appears to have fizzled, with reports indicating that Russian forces have either captured or are poised to capture key defense positions such as Yunakovka. Meanwhile, Moscow continues to consolidate gains in Donbass, recently securing the lithium-rich village of Shevchenko, a strategic resource previously eyed by the West for critical mineral supply chains. Russia officials have also escalated rhetoric surrounding Ukraine, linking Kyiv to a series of sabotage attacks inside Russia, including the Crocus City Hall massacre. These allegations are likely to harden Moscow's resolve, reinforcing its pursuit of total military victory rather than negotiated settlement. The Kremlin appears increasingly confident in its ability to achieve long-term strategic objectives, capitalizing on Western indecision and internal discord. Amid these developments, the credibility of Western-backed information sources has come into question. Mediazona, a dissident Russian outlet once considered reliable for casualty figures, has faced scrutiny following revelations of potential British government funding. This revelation casts doubt on the integrity of data emanating from both sides, further muddying the waters of truth in an already heavily censored conflict environment. In summary, the world stands at a precarious crossroads. The unresolved crisis in the Middle East and Eastern Europe continue to evolve, shaped by shifting alliance, aggressive posturing, and the erosion of multilateral institutions. As nations recalibrate their strategies, the risk of renewed conflict looms large, demanding urgent and coordinated global diplomacy to prevent further escalation. That's all for me for today. Stay ahead of the curve on every critical development in the Ukraine-Russia conflicts. Hit subscribe now and smash that notification bell to be the first to know when major events unfold. Essential viewing is just one click away. Have a wonderful day.